What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. It is a piping hot day out here in Baltimore, so guys, remember to stay hydrated because this might save your life on these hot summer days. I've been watching the news and see dudes falling out left and right, so guys, remember, stay hydrated. Anyway, here's some pickups, and I'd say it's the last 3 weeks worth of pickups. And I'll start with the Nintendo Switch, a system that I've only owned for a little while, but I absolutely love at this point. Okay. So, first game. Okay, this is a game I actually played and beat on 2 other systems, and I just had to triple dip because, you know, when games like this come out, I really want to support them. Anyway, VIII. Absolutely love this game. To think that I could play it portably, which I could already do on the PlayStation Vita, but, you know, with a little bit better graphics and a larger screen is a pretty cool idea to me. So I just wanted to support the developers on this game, and I got a copy of VIII. And this is also the first Falcom game to be released on the Nintendo Switch. So I've heard that Falcom games, they're not developing games that can be ported over to the Nintendo Switch. So I think that we got kind of lucky to get this port on the Switch. So, you know, we'll see if any of the other games, we'll see if, you know, Ys 9 comes out on the Switch. You know, I don't know. We'll see. They probably will, you know, considering the, you know, the wide fan base and, you know, the ease of access to so many customers because everyone's got a Switch now. But anyway, next game. Okay, this is a game that I heard about and I waited till I found a good deal on it because it's one of those Switch games that just stays expensive. And, you know, this is another game that I don't know when I'm going to find the time to play it because I heard it's like an 80-hour RPG, but Octopath Traveler. It'll probably come. It's like one of those games that came out at $50 and it stayed $50, and you just gotta wait till you find it on the cheap, you know. Eventually, you know, they sold so many copies of this, it'll get dumb cheap here soon. But anyway, Octopath Traveler. I heard it's a great game, and, you know, can't wait to really sink my teeth into it. Don't know when that's gonna be, but, you know, hopefully one day. Okay, so this next game is a game that, okay, I just want to say that beat-em-ups and fighting games on a handheld system really don't work well for me, but I'll make an exception for this one. And on the 3DS, I rock with this game, and that is Code of Princess. You know, if you guys have played, you know, Guardian Heroes, I heard the people that made Guardian Heroes made this game. And, you know, look at all the stuff you get. You get a manual, you get a soundtrack. It's one of those little soundtracks that you stick in like the little tray slot when the tray slot comes out. You know, that's pretty cool to stick inside of a Switch case, you know. And so props to the people, the developer, not the developers, the publishers, and the developers, I guess, on that. But, you know, I heard this is like my definitive way to play this game, you know. I've heard that from other, you know, YouTubers, but I'll absolutely agree with that. Code of Princess on the Switch, definitive way to play this game, but it's pretty cool on the 3DS as well. Okay, and the last Switch game I got for, well, I guess this month's not over, but up until this point is Suvari R2. I believe that's how you pronounce that. I burnt my own copy of Suvari R2 on the Dreamcast, and I really dig that game. I actually like that game a little bit better than I like this Switch version, which I guess would be the third or the second game in the series. I don't know. I know Suvari R2 came out on the Dreamcast, and the first one I never even heard of. I guess it's like a Dojin game. You know, I don't really know the developer that worked on this. So, you know, actually a buddy of mine that I met on Instagram gave me an original copy of the Suvari R2 on the Dreamcast, I want to say about a year ago. And said he had it since he was a kid, man. So, you know, I traded a game for it, but he said he was going to give it to me anyway. So, and you know who you are. I appreciate it. I don't want to break your anonymity. But anyway, so Suvari R has a roll mechanic on both versions that I've played of this game, and I actually like the Dreamcast version better because, and I probably should do a separate video on this, but okay. So in the Dreamcast version, so what you do is when you get your ship to start to spin, you can increase your rate of fire, and you can also slow down your speed, and that's kind of like the focus shot that you would you know, have in a lot of shooters. I always talk about, you know, spread shot, focus shot, bullet patterns, right? So that's this game's version of your focus shot, is you have a roll mechanic. Now on the Dreamcast, on the D-pad, you would roll in a 360 motion on the D-pad, getting your ship to roll. Now once your ship starts to roll, and as long as you're moving left, right, up, down, diagonal, whatever, as long as you're moving in a direction, you're going to stay in that roll mechanic, and you're going to be able to do that focus shot. And, you know, for me, when I'm playing shooters, I do my focus shot while I'm moving because I'm trying to duck, dodge, and, you know, bob and weave and all that kind of thing. So I really dug the mechanics of the original copy of this game. Now, you can still do this on this Switch version, but You know, the roll mechanic, when you roll the D-pad, which I have one of those Hori controllers that has a D-pad on the Joy-Con, you know, so I could see why they didn't add it to the Switch because of that. So you have to like roll the D-pad. Once you do that on this version, you'll roll for like 2 or 3 seconds and then you'll stop. But the way that you roll is you have triggers. You know, I think you know, L1, L2, R1, R2, all 4 of them will get your ship to roll, and that's how you do your focus shot on this game. So I guess it's kind of more handy in the fact that you don't have to stay, you know, moving in any direction. You can kind of stay stationary as long as you're holding the trigger down. You can do that focus shot. So, but I still like the Dreamcast version better because, you know, it's kind of more primitive controls. But, you know, I'm an older gamer, so I dig those more primitive controls. Either way, they're both great games, and that's enough out of me on Suvari R Delta for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, let's move on to the PlayStation 4. Okay, PlayStation 4. I got 2 games for it. 2 games for it. Okay, this first game is kind of like VIII. This is a game that I played and I beat it on one system, played through a few hours of it on another, and that is Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2. This is the PlayStation 4 port. You know, there's no, you know, standard regular edition. I think that everything's like a collector's edition when these come out. The first one that came out on the PS4, I bought just the steelbook because I found it cheap. And you know, this one's actually brand new, and I did pay retail on this. And again, this is a Falcom game that came out. They ported it for the PS4, and we're just real. You know, if you've never played any of the games in this series on the PSP or the Vita, I highly recommend them. You know, if you like the VIII series, or you know, if you're a fan of, you know, RPGs, you know, I really recommend Legend of Heroes series. Again, there's some great games on the PSP, and the ones that I played on the Vita, you know, are great. And it's nice having physical copies on the PlayStation 4. And we are getting Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 soon, so, you know, I'm pretty sure pre-orders are probably up for that. But anyway, Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2. Okay, this next PS4 game is a game somebody told me that if you like Windjammers, that you would whatever like this game, and that's Striker's Edge. You know, it's like what, $25-$30 or whatever. I don't highly recommend this game at all. It's like a fun little game that's kind of like Windjammers. Anyway, Striker's Edge. Okay, let's move on to the PlayStation 2. I got 1 game for it in the last 3 weeks. And PlayStation 2, you know, I've pretty much got, you know, everything I want for that system. You know, I'm really big into collecting imports for that system now. And again, if you guys haven't watched Mr. Fancy Action Now, he's like the pickups king right now. He's finding everything. You know, the dude's you know, he's killing it. He's killing it on his channel, and you know, I'm willing to bet that he's probably killing it in life right now. But you know, definitely check out Mr. Fancy Action Now. He's got a great YouTube channel. He does some pretty awesome pickups. So this is my PS2 pickup over the last couple of weeks, and Brave Fencer Musashi. No, it's Samurai Legend Musashi. Now, they told me at the game store this game really isn't that good, but honestly, Brave Fencer Musashi was one of the first action RPGs that I can really remember getting into, you know, other than, you know, Secret of Mana. You know, Secret of Mana was probably the first, but this was one of the first action RPGs I really remember really liking. And, you know, I remember thinking, like, wow, like Square Enix, they made a game that's not a turn-based RPG, it's actually an action RPG. But, you know, I mean, they did it like, you know, Threads of Fate. That's another action RPG that came out on the PS1. But, you know, the Square Enix, you know, turn-based RPGs on the PS1 are great. I highly recommend them. And this game, I haven't even played this yet. So let me know in the comments down below, is Samurai Legend Musashi any good? I heard that it is not that great, but I'm looking at the screenshots on the back, and it kind of looks like cel-shaded graphics. So I don't know if you guys can see this. But, yeah. I'm a big, you know, look at the screenshots on the back of the case kind of guy. You know, I really don't look them up on my phone. I used to. I just kind of look at the screenshots and figure out if I want to rock with it or not. But anyway, Samurai Legend Musashi on the PlayStation 2. Okay. All right, this next game is a shooter on the NES. And, you know, when it comes to shoot 'em ups, you know, 8-bit systems really aren't my go-to, you know, other than TurboGrafx 16, which I guess would be considered an 8-bit system. I don't know. Whatever it is, 8 or 16-bit, you know. The only step that I'll take below that turbo is the NES, and there are a couple of good shooters on that system, and this is one of them. This is Scat. I did have an original copy years ago, but I found this recently, so I grabbed it. And It's a great shooter. There's 3 shooters on the NES that I would highly recommend for you, and you probably want to play them through an emulator because they are, you know, just kind of pricey these days, and that is Gunneck, Scat, and Salamander. Life Force here in the US, almost. Salamander or Life Force, you know, if you want to get it for the Famicom, I guess it would be, you know, Salamander. There's also versions of Life Force, Salamander, whatever you want to call it, on the Sega Saturn. I think that only came out in Japan though, but you might be able to find that copy for a decent price. I don't think they're that expensive on the Saturn yet, but the NES version, Life Force, you know, I got that. That's one of the few NES games that I own complete in box, and I might have $20-30 probably online. It's probably the same price now. I don't think that game's gone up in price. You know, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments down below. But yeah, Scat on the NES. I'm gonna live stream this soon. Great game, and I don't really buy NES games that often anymore, but something like this, I'm getting that. Okay, this next game is not a game at all. This is a video game soundtrack, which I'm not big into like collecting soundtracks, but I saw this and I thought it was cool. I actually do own some of the anime DVDs for this series, and that is Xenosaga. I guess this came out in Japan. It's still new. It was only a couple bucks at the flea market, and it's so cool that I live in this like transient area, and like all these different cultures of people come swinging through here, you know, Baltimore. So I'm lucky. I get to find imports. You know, I meet other game collectors. You know, sometimes when I get really, really lucky and like the stars align, and there's one of them I met, I'm still friends with him on Facebook, and this is the dude, the kid Alex, man. Alex, dude, kid Alex it's this kid from Japan named Alex, and I met him on eBay. I don't know if he watches my videos or not, but that kid got me, he jump-started my import collecting on the PlayStation 2. That kid, he probably sent me like 100 games. Like it was crazy. He was sending me big boxes of stuff, and it was crazy how I met him. We were trading clothes online. I was sending him clothes. He was sending me video games, and you know, he lived in California, but he moved there from you know, Japan. So man, that kid, you know, I remember like we made this big trade, right? I'll tell this story one day, but I guess I'm kind of telling it right now, right? We made this trade, and I was sending him these clothes that I used to buy, like designer clothes, and, you know, wear them and then resell them when I'm done wearing them or whatever. Anyway, so I was like, you know, he was wanting to buy some stuff, and I was like, well, you got any video games? And he was like, yeah, I got tons of video games. You want to trade? And I was like, hell yeah, I want to trade. I was like, just send whatever you want to send me, man. I got you. I just wanted to roll the dice, right? He could have sent me a bunch of bullshit. The first box this kid sends me, Super Nintendo games. You know, I'm not into N64, you know, collecting or playing or anything like that. Box of 64 games, and I'm talking like, you know, all the Marios and the Mario parties and all the Mario stuff. It was like good, you know, stuff. I ended up getting rid of all of it actually. So next game was a game, you know, it was cheap, and you know, I think I probably own this on a compilation on probably 5 different systems. But anyway, Wonder Boy and Monster World on the Genesis. It's card only. This was cheap. Fun little platformer. Wonder Boy 3, I think, is the one that has the shoot 'em up levels. I think that one's kind of pricey too. It's probably why it's got the shooter levels, right? But anyway, Wonder Boy and Monster World on the Genesis. It is card only. And I know some buddies of mine, you guys are sticklers if it's not complete in box, right? I don't care. I just play the game, so I'm cool with getting them card only especially when they're cheap, right? Here's a fighter. This is an Arc System Works fighter, and we all know those are fun. Blaze Blue on the Xbox 360. This is Blaze Blue Continuum Shift. I haven't even cracked into this one yet, but look, cheap. $2.99, you know. A lot of these Xbox 360 fighters are pretty cheap, so, you know, when you see them, you know, they're good too. You know, the shooters and the fighters on the Xbox 360 are great. I highly recommend them. You know, I'm totally into them. You know, I'm thinking about getting one of those Jasper Xbox 360s, you know, just because I heard they hold up well, and they, you know, they don't fall apart as easy. So I'm thinking about getting one of those, and oh god, something's flying around in here. I'm thinking about getting one of those and trying to like region mod it or something, because I'd say over the past couple weeks I've been ordering some Xbox 360 games, some Japanese ones. So you know, expect a bunch of those in my next pickups video. Bunch of fighting games. A lot of them are exclusive to Japan too. So yeah, okay, that's everything I got in the last 3 weeks. You know, pretty decent haul. You know, if you guys like the video, make sure you guys like the video, and if you like awesome video games, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and also make sure you go visit Mr. Fancy Action Now and subscribe to his channel. He's got an awesome YouTube channel, and if you like my channel, odds are probably like his too. Till next time, peace out.